All right, so they asked Nick Chubb, Matthew Berry did of ESPN. He asked Nick Chubb to take his fantasy choice, which one he would take for fantasy football between Beckham and Landry. What do you think he said? Well, there it is right there. For one, Odell is going to have one of those games where he goes crazy, 4 touchdowns, 200 yards, stuff like that. It's hard to pass on that. But you get juice. That means that, of course, is Landry. You're going to get consistent 1 to 2 touchdowns a game. I'll take that. 80 yards receiving. I don't like gambling, so I'll probably have to go with juice. So I wonder if that will have an inner struggle on the team because of that. Odell Beckham last year, I think he'll be fine. He had 8, this is a shocking number here. He had 8 games with less than 60 yards receiving, caught 55.6% of the passes thrown his way, and went 8 consecutive games without catching a touchdown pass. You know, we lived through that, but when you see it down the road a little bit, it's hard to understand that those aren't good numbers.
Yeah, and we all love Nick Chubb. I sure hope that what Nick Chubb's talking about for each player is somewhat of a realistic goal. 200 yards receiving for Beckham. I'd love to see that in the Browns uniform. 4 touchdowns.
How about 1 to 2 touchdowns a game? 1 to 2 touchdowns a game.
Yeah, if Landry and Beckham
two touchdowns in the game, he's going to have 32 touchdowns this year.
Les, here's the problem. If Landry and Beckham do what Chubb's talking about, then Chubb's not going to get his. So,
right.
But I get the overarching point that he's making. Both players have productivity on their football cards, on the back of their cards. And, you know, they need to be as productive as they've ever been in 2020. And they also need to be team players 100% all the way through. We know Landry is. Questions about whether Beckham is. They both have to be team guys, buy into Stefanski's system. And, you know, if they don't get a ton of balls in a particular game, oh, well, as long as the team wins.
Well, that's the key question, and I'm glad you brought it up. Can they bring themselves to work as a team so that it's an over-under of a certain amount of touchdowns and yardage as opposed to one guy getting his and the other guy getting his? Because there's no way, if you plan it that way with the game plan, it's not going to work.
Yeah, the operative word, Les, is subjugate. They need to subjugate their egos. We can't have any outbursts on the sidelines with the coaches about not getting the ball. Now, we recognize that the subject of last year's outburst, Freddie Kitchens, seemed to just be swimming upstream virtually the entire year. By the way, when I say virtually the entire year, Les, I keep going back to one of the most amazing games in the 2019 NFL season was Cleveland going to Baltimore and punking the Ravens in the 4th game. You just cannot believe when you see what happened after that game, the fact that the Ravens ran the table and the Browns were as bad as they were. You just wonder how that game ever happened.
Yeah,